The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is losing a record number of its membership.
If there are any among this people who should ever apostatize, prepare your backs for a good whipping.
Not only that, tithing will keep your name enrolled among the people of God and protect you in the day of vengeance and burning.
Invalid.
Travis Wingate, so I was going to call it an evening and retire for the night. But nope. Deseret News, Jason F. Wright pissed me off. He is doing an article last night before he went home to go to bed for church today. Can't work on Sunday. That's a sacred tradition. Nobody should mock it. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Perspective, not opinion. Other news coverage does opinions. The New York Times, for example, did an opinion today. America is now fascist. We're fleeing. Nope, they call it perspective, which is misleading. Online influencers aren't accurately representing Latter-day Saint reality. Mormons aren't living in reality. You gotta live in reality first. Seriously, 8.9K videos about how Mormons are clueless about Mormonism. And all the hate. And on that video I just did on that subject, 2 instant thumbs down. Unbleeping believable. And I still got cyber attacked on my computer too. Dear God. It's Sunday. You guys aren't supposed to work on Sunday. We hire people who don't worship the Sabbath. You'd probably do better at that job on me than other Mormons that have failed and have lost their lives because of their failure. D. Todd. So, we get to do a commentary on this dumbass. So, I go to the ending and you see his conclusion. And why I went, oh my God. Here's his concluding statement. It's just one line. These influencers might be leaving a religious movement, but they're not leading one. Do they have to? This is the extremist position of it's either one way or the other. It's our way or the highway. We're right and you're wrong. He is incapable of understanding that there are other options to choose from. And so, for example, one of his sacred traditions that he talks about is the Book of Mormon. Ex-foe never mows think that the Book of Mormon is fake, false, a lie, fiction, etc. Mormons say, no, it's the living Word of God. It's true, it's literal history. None of you guys ever stop to think, wait a minute, it says Jewish. It says Jewish. And so this Mormon doesn't even know about the Mormon who published a best-selling book on the New York Times bestseller that are now fleeing the country. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, in which he talks about do not compromise. Once there's a compromise, both loses, even if one person thinks they're winning. He also talks about how you need to come up with another alternative that both of you can agree on if you're stuck in this, we aren't going to budge on this position. And that's the situation with Mormonism. Mormonism will not budge on the false narrative that they believe is reality. And Expo Nevermos go, well, it's not true, and so therefore you're not living in reality, and we're the one true reality. Jewish. Try Jewish interpretation. What's that? Do Jews have a religion? They don't believe in Jesus, though. They must be wrong. So, starting off, does every senior media editor media is the press? Technically, to generalize it, media is anybody who does any kind of, it doesn't have to be video, but because Hollywood puts out media. And so he's talking about editor, though, which is more press. Do not want to get online. Under cyber terrorist attack. Weekend. It's been a delayed reaction. And so it's generally it's the main means of mass communication, broadcasting, publishing, the internet, regarding collectivity. Medium is the plural form. Cool. That's the Hebrew God getting angry with you, Mormons. Who's the Hebrew God? Okay, so Latin is middle or neuter. Neuter of medius. Yeah, so. And it wasn't until after the 1950s that people started using it, and that's after the Mormons up in Idaho, Rigby, Idaho, invented the TV. So he's talking about news media, because he used editor. I'm not an editor. I'm a religious leader. You know, my own religious movement. See, he's not talking about me. They ignore me and hope I go away because of the content that I talk about. They don't like the idea of thinking about Jewish. Awesome. Because I saw earlier that there was some storm clouds further south. I didn't think we were going to get any, but here we go. You're all going to die. Which, yes, solar eclipse, because of where it is, it's overnight for us here in Utah. Even though, technically, it would happen during the day when the sun and moon are together, but not in the location where it's at. We don't get to see it here in Utah. But anyway, and so yes, the thunderbolts of lightning of Yah at the same time. Hilarious, the timing I have. So anyway, spend the day. So yeah, he's talking about online influencers getting paid for being online influencers. That's kind of faded. YouTube, for example, has destroyed social media influencers because of the popularity that they got. Got to shut them up. Firing off Slack missives calling for fresh stories on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So this isn't really to me. I really don't watch Expos because I've checked them out and they all talk about the same misinformation, arguing with Mormons who believe it's true and of God. That's a heavy rain. Wow. So yeah, you guys are in trouble. I warned you. It appears journalists. So yeah, that's a different thing than this online influencer. Online influencers are not journalists. He's misdefining words in his argument here. Chase clicks by publishing salacious stories about reality television shows featuring church members, prominent celebrities who left the faith, and self-labeled ex-Mo, former Mo in parentheses. No, I'm the one who had to correct ex-Mos on this. In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we have what's called excommunication. Because of that, it's not the same meaning when you say ex-Mo. Ex-Mo is different than saying my ex-wife. Big difference. Because an ex-wife is a former wife, whereas an ex-Mo is a Mormon who's been excommunicated from the church. But a former Mormon is not necessarily one who got excommunicated. I, for example, left the church when my bishop threatened me to deny the truth of the Book of Mormon because it went against the living prophets of Jesus. Yeah, Mormons don't want to watch my channel. Adam fell. Look it up. And so, yes, I've had to correct both y'all on this. There are Mormons, there are ex-Mormons, there are former Mormons, and there are never Mormons. And there are subcategories within it. There used to be what was called Jack Mormons. I don't know what the female version was, whether it's Jill Mormons. But they tried to do away with that when they tried to say that you're not inactive, you're less active. Whatever. They laughed. But anyway, that was the church's attempt to try to trick people to come back to church and pay. With often complex relationships with the church. Complex? No, it's pretty simple. Chad Daybell, influenced by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, believing in an afterlife spirit world, believed in his near-death experience that he went to the spirit world, saw Jesus, and Jesus told him to murder the zombie apocalypse because Jesus is coming soon. And was able to convince Lori Vallow, whom they committed murder of their spouses and adultery, to work together as a tag team duo for Jesus Superstars. Or shall we talk about the 8 passengers lady, who working with a tag team superhero combo with a psychologist educated at BYU, Jody Hildebrandt, decided it would be really cool and awesome. I need to go running. This is awesome weather. Yes! This is heavy. This is flood stuff if it keeps going like this. Oh no, where are the homeless going to go? They were packed under the underpass this morning. The cops failed to do their daily job. And so, yeah, psychologists, don't even get me going on that tangent. And so, Jason is showing how he doesn't even understand Mormon culture and tradition. He has been Mormon his whole life, and he's clueless about it. As you can tell by my tangents, I know more, a lot more with my 8.9K videos. And so no, there is not a complex relationship with the church. They found out the church has been lying, and they said, I'm out. And Mormons say, well, it's true. We yoke ourselves to Jesus by paying tithing to prostitute our wives. See, he's not happy with that. Do not prostitute your wives. Leave the church now, Mormons. Where's Caroline Levitt to say that this is God's wrath on Mormons? Just like the earthquake. Increasingly, their audiences are invited to believe that all Latter-day Saint meeting houses must be nearly empty. Oh my God, you missed that in 2011? Are you that young? 2011, social media kicked off. And as a result, 10 million Mormons said, I'm out, and stopped going to church. This was a major panic on the church. He should have known this if he had done his research as a journalist for the Deseret News doing perspectives about his own religion, criticizing others for not knowing. I've used this video clip numerous times from ABC4 back in the day. And Elder Jensen was the one who was quoted saying that we probably only have about 5 million active. Back in those days, there was only about 15 million members. And so in response to this, the church then decided, well, okay, let's do gospel topics essays. The gospel topics essays were published in 2013. And a Bishop, James Baker, saw that the church had put these out, and as a faithful Mormon, he read them as a bishop. And after reading them, he was horrified. He learned that the church had been lying to us, and they're now confessing that they've been lying to us in the gospel topics essays to try to convince Mormons to come back and stay. And it caused an even further exodus from the church, if only Mormons even knew about it. So what James Baker did was he did YouTube videos talking to Mormons about the gospel topics essays, reading over them and showing that the church is confessing to lying. Yep, Brigham Young was the racist. Joseph Smith used a rock and a hat. The church is now claiming that our founder, Joseph Smith, raped little girls and committed adultery. You need to understand, when I was in seminary in the 80s, when we got to the Doctrine and Covenants, which would have been my senior year, they told us about section 132's instance of talking with Emma. And they told another story from the manual about how Joseph Smith went to married women. And there was a specific married woman that he went to, and I don't remember who it was. I'm sure I could probably Google search it online and figure out exactly who it was and then expose it as the fraud that it is. Nonetheless, I don't want to do that video tonight. That's it? I can last longer than that. Very disappointed. Not satisfied. In which Joseph Smith came to the guy and said, "The Lord has told me that you need to hand over your wife. She's mine." And then the elder broke down and said, "If it's the Lord's will, I will do it. Dear." And then Joseph wept. "Oh, I was just testing you." Just kidding. It's good to know you're faithful. So yes, they were telling us that Joseph wasn't practicing polygamy yet. He was just testing the members' faithfulness. That always disturbed me in my senior year. So yeah, I'd go on my mission. Mark Augustine would tell everybody who mentioned polygamy that no, Joseph Smith never practiced polygamy. And he was right, even though the church says he's wrong. And Mark Augustine, D. Todd Christofferson, get him. Get him. I know you sicked him on me in 2008, but get him. He betrayed you. Get him. That bastard, little whiny bleep bleep. Always narking on me to the mission president because I wouldn't take away his agency and bind him to Jesus and force him to do things. I gave him his agency. And he didn't like that. And he doesn't like it when I use my hands to talk at the same time. And it really pisses him off. It was hilarious. If you're going to be a dumbass and send me down the river, bleep you. God. And so, yeah, the church got exposed for practicing polygamy, as they tried to claim they don't do it anymore. Jesus repented and no longer allows it. And Bruce R. McConkie came out and said, no, we're going to practice it in the millennium. Oh, guess what's coming soon, boys and girls? The millennium. If Jesus is coming any day now, we're still waiting, it means polygamy's coming back. Mormons don't think. It's not clicking in their brains. Mormons just sit back and think, well, okay, Jesus is coming to Adam-on-Diamond, he's suddenly to his temple, Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, and then his temple in Zion, which, depending on which Mormon you are, mostly the newer stuff believe that it's Salt Lake City, as Nelson has told us it is. And so we've got 2 more years, because Nelson got conned by the building constructors who were doing the remodeling. 2 more years. But nonetheless, they're pushing really hard to get it done before conference, as I've been going over with you all this year. And so Mormons, knowing these 4 comings of the second coming, which is not really the second coming, because The Book of Mormon, Mormons believe, is literal history, and therefore Jesus' second coming was actually to the American Nephites. And then he told them he has other sheep who are not of that fold, that he must also go and have a second coming with them too. Because he tells them the scripture of his second coming to the Nephites in 3 Nephi 20:23. I've got that one memorized. Because of 2023, the bicentennial year of the second vision, which is not about the second coming per se. Remember, Jews. But nonetheless. And so Mormons think that, oh, okay, well, I don't have to do anything. Jesus is going to do all the work, and we'll know because Jesus will do all this work, and the church will be true, and I'll be vindicated with my feelings of faith promotion and prayer, etc. And so Mormons, like Jason, don't know that they need to be actively engaged in preparing. You know, like Moses and the Exodus. And so, yes, this has made Mormons lazy. They don't study their scriptures. They're waiting for Jesus to come and compel them in all things what to do, to show the whole world that we've been true the whole time. This is where Jason is coming from. This way, he's attacking anybody who's not Mormon for attacking Mormonism as anti-Mormons. He does not get it. And so, yes, the Gospel Topics essays, Bishop, what was his name again? Baker, started doing it. He would go to general conferences, to temple open houses here in Utah, and ask Mormons, have you read the Gospel Topics essays put out by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? He's not one of the Christian Baptists who come to tell Mormons to repent and join the Baptists. No, he's there saying, hey, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints put out the Gospel Topics essays. Joseph raped little girls. Joseph is an adulterer. Joseph used a rock and a hat. Joseph doesn't know how to translate, etc., etc., etc. And we've been lied to. The church is now confessing they lied. And now we're supposed to believe that the new narrative in the Gospel Topics essays is the one true narrative. And Mormons don't want to read it. The church even put out a poll for Mormons, of which nobody even knew that it existed. It's still on their website. Did you know Brigham was a racist? And so, yes, as a result of this intentional ignorance of Mormonism, you get the steaming memes or the menaces to society or whatever they called themselves on TikTok that were getting millions of views at BYU, talking to BYU students and exposing how they're still racist since 1978, when Jesus repented of his racism. And Jason is clueless of this. And so he's going to throw down the religion card. Hold on. It's in the next paragraph, which is the next sentence. What the hell is this, dude? Each sentence is a paragraph? Do you not know how to write? You're a journalist, right? Did they not teach this, BYU? And so, yes, the meeting houses are nearly empty outside of Utah. he is not getting it. There is now over 15 million who've said, I'm out. Which means the highest concentration is here in Utah. And if you've read your Book of Mormon, you know this is uh-oh. Remember that Jewish interpretation you're supposed to use? God. And so, yes, he apparently went stateside for his mission and didn't go south of the border, baptizing hundreds for his mission and never learning that they didn't get retained because they're poor and the church wouldn't help them out of poverty. This is another thing that Mormons do not understand, because we are in a first world country and only now are we starting to financially suffer. We have never experienced this kind of financial struggle. I've heard from my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents who were in what was called something like a depression. For their wickedness, I guess. This is the big con of the church. They get missionaries to pay their own way. They have to dress wealthy. The 1920s mobster suit style and hairstyle. This is a 1950s businessman with my little twists to it. I go back on the sides rather than straight down on the sides. And it's short, but straight down. I do it back, like Elvis or the Fonz. I don't grease my hair though. Oh my God, no. There are elders doing it on the mission. Creole Coford put them in their places. We're not here to be like them. We're here to convert them to us. And no drinking of caffeine. It's against the word of wisdom. No. Nonetheless, we didn't have enough money to buy soda pop. Don't even get me going on that tangent. So yes, there is a major membership crisis. That's why when Nelson took over, and even ever since, they don't come to Utah to speak. They go out into the world to try to get members reactivated to come to the meetings where they're there, feel their mantle of power, and then decide, I better go back to church and start paying again with no money. That's why the church is doing what they're doing. That's why they're trying to make business deals in these foreign countries, not just to fund terrorism, and to make business deals to make the church richer. I mean, save for Jesus, because Jesus needs money for the millennium. Again, it doesn't click for Mormons. It doesn't click. They are so complicit with the narrative that they just are non-responsive. It's scary. And it's a level beyond Koolaid drinking. You can't pull Mormons out of this when they're deep in it. They immediately attack and are easily offended and get violent and will murder you and chop up your body and dump you in the backyard of their Rexburg, Idaho home. Jason is one of them. Is that the mask guy? Or no? Yeah, well, Michael Myers He might have worn a mask too. But I remember Jason. Jason is the hockey mask. So, it's been a while. Maybe I should watch those now. Maybe I should watch those. So, here's the religion card. This narrative, often flavored with deeply disrespectful descriptions of the faith's sacred religious traditions. He never describes what that is. Not just what the disrespectful descriptions are, but of what his so-called faith's sacred religious traditions are. Is it the inverted pentagram with Lucifer's doctrines taught within the Salt Lake Temple? That sacred religious tradition? Do you know what the doctrine of Lucifer is? No, you don't, because you don't read your scriptures. Mormons have exclusive scripture about extra stuff on Lucifer's tactics and his plan of happiness for mankind. And Mormons don't know what it is. It's right there. We got exclusive stuff. Christians don't even have it. You know, Lucifer is the father of all lies. That's exclusively Mormon. Exclusive. You know, is it raping little girls in polygamy? Adultery in polygamy? That sacred religious tradition? Is it murder to get gain with priestcraft? That sacred tradition? What are you talking about, Jason? See, this kind of generality is a war strategy to accuse other people and vilify other people without actually explaining why. Jason is pulling an anti-move. Ooh, a beam and moat? Might deliver stellar website stats and ad rates for the platforms which publish these pieces, but it's not rooted in reality. Really? So there's no inverted pentagrams on the keystones of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple. So Lucifer's doctrine of cover up and hide is not the doctrinal practice of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Raping little girls and committing adultery is not going to be practiced in the millennium? Is that not reality? Yeah, there's a reason why Mormons don't listen to my channel. Brave Sir Mormons ran away. For the last 14 months, my wife and I... You don't have kids? You're a sinner. Have been assisting with a unique congregation of the church that was created specifically to serve young people. You never did see that Twilight Zone episode, did you? To serve man. I've got those old thumbnail pictures in the archives. Ages 18 to 35. Yeah, he's promoting the new change that the 30 to 35s are now young adults. To try to trick them to come back in activity of the church. Who live in Winchester, Virginia and surrounding areas. You're not even in Utah? You're on a mission, aren't you? A special church service mission? Is that what this is? You need to be honest with us, Jason. So yeah, dear God. Rather than a peace out parade led by former members, just those pictures. I held back on a couple of them for good reason. We've witnessed something far different. So now we gotta fact check them. You forced me to do it. Winchester, Virginia. God, I did not want this to be long. I don't want to have to upload it tomorrow. Don't make me do this, Jason. Winchester, Virginia membership stats LDS Church. Well, AI is saying as of 2020 it had 1,066. Let's get to that's all I want. Yeah, it has the temple there, so that means there's slightly more populated. Population is 28,000 in 2020. Okay, here's Virginia. Total church membership is 100,000 from the church newsroom. But Winchester obviously is a smaller portion of that, as the county of Winchester with Winchester City is 28,000. So obviously it's less than 28,000 for Winchester. And they're doing country by country stats, but Winchester I am not seeing. The Westchester, Virginia Temple will serve approximately 23,400 members, but that goes beyond Winchester. So it's less than 23,000 now. Let's see if we can find out the Virginia statistics of the church. There were 80 members. In 1841, and is now 96,748 in all of Virginia. So I don't think they're going to actually break it up, but Winchester should tell us how many stakes there are, and there's only one, and it's far separated from the rest of the populace of Mormonville. Yeah, the stake center and then the temple is there, and so there's only the one stake in Winchester, which at the highest peak you'll have 500 max, even though it should be 300. Utah is the exception on this and goes to 500 before they're finally allowed to split it. And it's mostly because the stake president can't get the map boundaries right. The church keeps disapproving of it. Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Well, why don't you just do it then? Because you're supposed to do it. And so 8 wards per stake, or is it 10 or 12? We're going too long. Don't have the research right in front of me, and so I'm having to continually go back to Google. That is intentionally going slow. Maximum number of wards in a stake LDS. All right, announces uniform worldwide standards from 2023. Okay, so this is recent. All right, considering boundary proposals, new minimum requirements. Come on, D. Todd Christofferson. There we go. All right, All right, stakes in U.S. and Canada previously needed to have 3,000 members. Stakes outside needed to have 1,900. There we go. I remember this. In 2024, stakes will need 150 active, full tithe-paying Melchizedek priesthood holders prostituting their wives, capable of serving in leadership positions. They also need a total of 500 participating adults. Okay. Stakes and wards. Stakes that wards also state that wards need 250 members and 20 active full tithe-paying Melchizedek priesthood holders. See, it's 300, like I said, when they start to need to break it up. Okay, so yeah, I was correct. They haven't really changed much. They just have given an official number for it. So yes, 20 active. Wow. It used to be that a temple required 32,000 to justify a temple, but I noticed under Nelson that he was not following that anymore. There were some that only had 2,000. And we're getting a temple. That's because he was able to buy up the land. Wherever the country will allow them to buy land, they take it. That's how it's done now. So yeah, yeah. And so Winchester, having one stake, is I don't memorize. I have to read. I have to use the reference. It was 3,000 though, wasn't it? So yeah, because it has a stake, it has to have that requirement of 3,000 members. And like I saw on the map, didn't show, there's yeah, well, no. It's a wide boundary. That's what he's not telling you about his mission. is that they finally reached enough for the massive boundary far out in Winchester to have the number required for a stake. And so that's what he's talking about. In Utah, it's a bit different. So, but yeah, I'm not doing further research on this. I'm already wasting time. On Any Given Sunday. That's a movie, isn't it? It's a football thing. Isn't Adam Sandler involved in that? I'm not looking it up. While the internet is breaking with the latest influencer post on or legacy media piece, what the hell are you talking about? Who are these expos? About the church. Members of our congregation are arriving early for leadership meetings. 9 a.m. this morning, right? I serve as the branch president. Yeah, oops, you just exposed yourself. Branch doesn't have the number required to be a ward. And so thus, what you're seeing in Winchester to qualify for a stake is that they have enough branches that have enough members to equal the need for a stake. But not the ward. Oh my God. He is so delusional. Not living in reality. Similar to a pastor, preacher, or bishop. No, a branch president is not a bishop. You got demoted. But he's a church service missionary. Because they don't have enough leadership. And there are two other older married couples. Yep, church service mission. You're lying. It's the Deseret News, you dumbass. Every Mormon knows what you're talking about if you say you're a church service missionary out in Winchester, Virginia. That's all you had to do. God. And so after these meetings, they don't disappear into the parking lot to scroll social media. It's because they can't afford it. Their food consists of roadkill. Disclaimer for Virginians. I don't really think that of you, despite the Hollywood press media depicting Virginians as backwoods people. There were some girls at Rick's from Virginia. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I do remember her. Are young people fleeing the faith? Yes. That's why the church made the change to include the 35s. That's why they've been doing young adult devotionals until April conference this year. Come on, dude. How old are you? How long have you been in the church and you don't know these things? Our membership has grown since our congregation was formed in 2020. Oh, God. You're not living in reality. These men they're men and women, college students, college grads, and some still making decisions. Oh, my God. You're not giving us numbers. Along with 80,000 other young church members, a number of ours are serving volunteer missions for 18 to 24 months. That's not the number. So he's in the Virginia mission. and he's in Winchester, and so he's deceiving you on that. God. They're not scattered around the globe conjuring up controversies and videos. We just have to read from the living prophets of Jesus. That's all I do. I read the Book of Mormon, and Mormons are pissed. They're making for YouTube. No, they're making a difference. Not doing YouTube videos. See this YouTube? He's saying that YouTube is a waste of time. Get him, D-Todd. They're not building a personal brand or monetizing a message. Influencers discuss leaving the faith. I witnessed many returning. Yeah, count them for me, please. God, many. Try 2. Once a month in the church, members may choose to share their testimonies of Jesus Christ. Really? They talk to him, do they? Just like Chad Daybell did? That's what a testimony actually means, you dumbass. Almost every meeting features at least one member standing humbly. If you have to say humbly, they're not humbly. Oh, God. So, yeah, this is just a promotion for his mission. I'm not seeing anything of substance from what he's trying to claim here. Yeah, that's it. Yes, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is wrestling with many of the same issues as other religions. Oh, really? Child rape and adultery? Prostitution of the members through tithing? Really? Those kinds of issues? Worshiping Satan and calling it Jesus of Christianity rather than Jewish of what's it supposed to be? And better serving young people in a priority for faith leaders everywhere. But suggesting that today's Exmo content creators are representative of all young Latter-day Saints might be tantalizing. Again, he's doing the absolute to debunk the absolutism, assuming that that's what Exmo content creators are doing, is saying that all Mormons are leaving. Obviously they're not, but yeah, he's doing a counter thing to try to claim that they're lying about all Mormons, therefore the church is true and everything's fine. Keep paying your tithing. Come back to church. That was stupid, Jason. That was clickbait. If I was paying for something. An hour? Bleep you, Jason. God. He was promoting his mission. That's all he was doing. Oblivious of the real church history, the church traditions. Dear God. See, that's faith promotion for Mormons. Completely oblivious to reality, to be faith promoting, to deceive people into coming into the church, and thus self-fulfilling their own self-fulfilling prophecy by getting people to come in. Psychology 101.